Shalom. First and foremost, I want to start off by giving all the honey praise on the Lord. To Yahweh, Hashem Krakadas. The honors to the elders of great millstones, sing honors to the apostles, and like-minded brothers preaching and teaching the word of truth. With sincerity as always. So without any further ado, just want to get into this lesson. Just some updates on the Israel-Iran war and what this is going to lead to for those of you who don't know, or if you already know. Maybe you just want to watch another video going into it. So I'm starting this article here. I'm gonna just read the title from CNN.com. The title is Day 32 of Middle East Conflict. Iran threatens the U.S. tech companies. Kuwait oil tanker attacked. Okay, that's not what that one said. Okay, once again, Trump and Hegseth tell U.S. allies to help open Strait of Hormuz. Trump also said the U.S. will have nothing to do with the closed Strait of Hormuz, telling other countries, including key U.S. allies, to get your own oil. U.S. tech companies threatened Apple, Microsoft, Google, Meta, IBM, HP, Intel, and Tesla are among the 17 American companies Tehran has threatened to attack if more Iranian leaders are killed. Energy costs. The average U.S. gas price hits $4 a gallon, the highest since 2022. Trump said Tuesday that gas prices will quickly go down once the U.S. completes its operation in Iran. The CNN has reported how an end to the war will not mean immediate savings at the pump. A new timeline. President Donald Trump will deliver an address to the nation on Wednesday night regarding Iran. And that's on Wednesday night. If I may add now, that's tomorrow. That's on our Passover. Wednesday nights regarding Iran. It comes after Trump said the U.S. could be done with its war with Iran within 2 or 3 weeks. Yeah, he said that when it first started, and it didn't. He said that when it first started that it would end in 4 weeks. It's already the 4th week, if I'm not mistaken, and he hasn't done shit. Yeah, because that was on February 28th. It's already past March. It's April 1st. March has 31 days. February has 28th. It started February 28th. March has 31 days. We're still in the war, man. He's fucking lying to you Americans, whoever the fuck still believes that Trump's word and shit. At this point, he's already lied to you many times. Why would you still believe this fucking guy? I mean, I'll be surprised. I don't know anybody who's still, at this point, at this point, if you still think that, if there's anybody, which I know it's not you brothers because you're not fucking stupid, but at this point, if there's anybody that still thinks Trump has their best interests and is and still has his word on their hearts, you're fucking just stupid, man. At this point, he's lied like 100 times, and you should already know he's not gonna fucking keep his word. He said that this war would end. Even before he started his presidency, he said that there was gonna be no wars. He was gonna end the Russia-Ukraine war, the Israel-Iran war. And he hasn't even ended those 2 wars, man. He said he would make the economy bounce back up again, and that hasn't happened. So at this point, if you still believe in Trump, you Edomites, if there's any Edomites that still believe in Trump, well then you're just retarded, man. He's like that father that's just gonna keep lying to you, telling you he's not gonna drink anymore, and wake the family up at the middle of the night to start drama with your mama. And he's just that father that said he was gonna stop drinking and still doing that all the time. So yeah, man, good luck with that. It comes after Trump said the U.S. could be done with its war with the Iran within 2 or 3 weeks. Iran has indicated it's willing to fight for far longer. So this is all fucked. This is gonna go nowhere, man. This is going nowhere. This war is here to stay as well, by the way. In case you don't know, now you know. And I'm gonna get this one, man. I'm gonna get Ecclesiastes 4 in the Easy English Bible. This is verse 8. There are people who live alone. They have no friends, children, or brothers. They work hard every day. They want to get more riches for themselves, but they are never happy with the things that they have. They should ask themselves, why am I working so hard? Am I helping anybody? I am not doing things that make me happy. Their work has no purpose. It only brings trouble to their lives. Yeah, and that's you Americans. The scriptures pertaining to you Americans today. You people who live in America, you're working so hard. Your work has no purpose. You should ask your scripture saying the scripture is saying you should ask yourselves why you're working so hard. You're working hard is only going to bring trouble to their lives because you're doing all this for nothing. Scriptures say that those that have be as though you have not, because of the times we're going to be coming into. So this is Jeremiah 4:28. The earth will mourn, the sky will grow dark. That's describing these missiles. And the Lord has spoken and will not change his mind, and he has made his decision and will not turn back. The Lord's not going to turn back on his decision, man. Alright, man? So, that's what the Lord's going to do, man. He has made his decision, he will not turn back yet, and that decision is going to be for this third war to begin. Alright, buddy, so it's going to happen, buddy. So I'm going to click on this video here from CBS News. Title is Trump is threatening a ground invasion of Iran. How would that work?
U.S. War Secretary also noting that ceasefire talks. U.S. War Secretary also noting that ceasefire talks are ongoing. He calls them very real and active. Now, the question of Karg Island here also came up in that Pentagon briefing. The idea of a ground invasion. The U.S. military now has thousands of troops, ground troops, deployed to the Middle East, and Karg Island could be a target. It is heavily defended, but it's used by Iran for 90% of its fuel exports. Ships go there. So if the Americans were to take it, how would they do it? It would start with this ship, the USS Tripoli, that has somewhere in the area of 2,500 to 3,000 Marines embarked on board. You see helicopters, other vessel or other aircraft on board this very large ship. They would be transferred to Karg Island. How would they get there? There are a number of means to do that. The first is an Osprey aircraft. You see it here. It can land like a helicopter, but also take off like a plane. Its rotors tilt into the upright position. You see a scenario where Marines could be deployed onto the land in that sense. There are other ways to get them there, though. Helicopters, one of them. So is the landing craft air cushion, they call it, a hovercraft that brings vehicles and assault troops to shore very rapidly. There are multiple of these LCACs on board that USS Tripoli. If they didn't come by that route, it would be U.S. airborne troops coming from the sky, jumping by parachute onto the island. The island itself does have an airport, but they would have to seize that airport first of all, and likely would do so using paratroopers. Doesn't mean that this is going to happen. The U.S. War Secretary is saying they don't communicate their intentions to their enemy, particularly when you're talking about trying to secure areas around that Strait of Hormuz. And just to the northwest of that area is Karg Island itself. This is a key part of the U.S. strategy. Now, that would be a significant escalation in the conflict. What would a deployment look like? What are the options that are out there? Mike Crawley been looking at this in our Washington bureau. Mike, can you take us through some of the options and likelihood here?
Yeah, David, the military strategy experts see three options as being the most likely for U.S. To use ground troops, and the U.S. could try any or all or none of them. So let's start with Karg Island, which you mentioned. You know, it's at the northern end of the Persian Gulf, right? So that makes it about 500 kilometers away from the Strait of Hormuz, but it would be a target because it's the departure point for roughly 90% of Iran's crude oil exports. So occupying it would be pretty big leverage for the U.S., given how central oil is to Iran's economy. The U.S. has already hit military targets on Karg Island with missile strikes, and in a social media post on Monday, Donald Trump threatened blowing up and completely obliterating the island unless Tehran agrees to a deal shortly. So let's go to option number two for ground troops. That would be islands that are actually right in the Strait of Hormuz. These are relatively tiny islands, but they're quite key to Iran's control of the shipping lanes. The third possibility would be a completely different operation, and that would be sending special ops troops deep into Iran to try to seize its stockpile of highly enriched uranium. The U.S. says that this is material that Iran could use to build a nuclear weapon, and that material is believed to be located in two spots, Isfahan and Natanz. So those are the three options that we're hearing are the most likely for U.S. ground troops.
And Mike, if we know this, the Iranians know this, and surely they're getting prepared for it.
Of course, and you know, none of these.
He thinks they'll be there for another 2 to 3 weeks, and he said they have accomplished their main goal.
This one was 5 hours ago.
Of this war, which was to prevent
Today, by the way, is Wednesday, 2:56 a.m.
Iran from having a nuclear weapon. And he claimed today something he has said before, which is that he says Iran was close to possessing a nuclear weapon, and had the U.S. and Israel not acted when they did, he said Iran would have used it by now. He also said that regime change in Iran was not one of his original goals, but that is, in fact, what has taken place. And he said what he wrote on social media yesterday, which is that this new regime that is currently leading Iran is more reasonable and rational than the last one. And he insisted the two sides are negotiating, but he also said it doesn't really matter if Iran does agree to the U.S.'s demands, which they have put forward in what they're calling a 15-point plan. He says it will take Iran years to rebuild what the U.S. has destroyed. Here's more from the president.
And one goal, they will have no nuclear weapon. And that goal has been attained. They will not have nuclear weapons, but we're finishing the job, and I think within maybe 2 weeks, maybe a couple of days longer to do the job. but we want to knock out every single thing they have. Now, it's possible that we'll make a deal before that.
He said
The title of this video was Iran could end in a war could end in 2 or 3 weeks. Trump.
Iran is, quote, begging to make a deal with the U.S. and that they want to make a deal more than he wants to make a deal. But there is no deal, Sarah, yet, so it's not quite.
So they've been talking about this deal for for weeks now, for a whole month now since the war started. Trump thought that the war was gonna end in 4 weeks. Really, he thought it was gonna end in 4 days, and now he's just looking stupid and he's still making stupid decisions. Trump's making some pretty stupid decisions right now, and yeah, man. And there's a lot of talk about Iran deal, U.S. deal, peace talks, peace deals, peace treaties. And why haven't they came up with a deal? You would think, why haven't they came up with a deal? You're thinking. I'm thinking too. Why haven't they came up with a deal? They should have been came up with a deal, because there ain't gonna be any deal. It's Revelation 16. Verse 13, and I saw 3 unclean spirits like frogs. 3 there means complete. The frogs there means the plagues. Come out of the mouth of the dragon, and out of the mouth of the beast, and out of the mouth of the false prophet. For they are the spirit of devils. Yeah, those frogs represent plagues and the spirit of devils, the spirit of these wicked elites who are ruling the earth. The dragon, the beast, the false prophet, they have control over the earth right now. They're ruling the earth right now. And who's that dragon, the beast, the false prophet, these wicked elites? The Amalekites, Amalek, the Rothschilds, to be specific. The banking cartels, the banking families working miracles. These are left-handed miracles which go forth unto the kings of the earth. Right? They talk with Iran, the Khamenei of Iran. They talk with the president of Iran, the supreme leader of Iran. They have control over him. They have control over the president, the Tsar of Russia, president of Russia, the Prince Chancellor of Germany, of all the NATO nations, and obviously America. They're under their control. Hence why there's not going to be no peace talks, because the Lord has it in their hearts to fulfill His will. They're going to fulfill the Lord's will. As it says in Proverbs 21. I think that's 21:1. The king's heart is in the hand of the Lord. He turneth it whithersoever He will. And that's in Jeremiah as well. It is not in man's it is not in a man to choose his ways. How can a man then understand his own ways? Man's goings are of the Lord. So they ain't gonna come out with telling you people what they're doing. You see, but this is all going into this is all just going into how basically Russia is working under the leadership of America. They're really hand in hand. The NATO nations are hand in hand, and the NATO nations are hand in hand. They're hand in fucking hand. The elites are controlling both sides of this war. They got them under the palm of their hands. They're under their control. And that's what this is going into, this chapter here, Revelation 16, verse 4-13. And I saw 3 unclean spirits like frogs come out of the mouth of the dragon, and under the mouth of the beast, and under the mouth of the false prophet. For the spirits of the devils working miracles which go forth unto the kings of the earth of the whole world to gather them to the battle of the great day of Yahweh Almighty. Come. That's what these elites are doing. They're ultimately gathering Russia, China, U.S., Iran to this battle of the day of God, Yahweh Almighty. I don't like the word God, but whatever. God Almighty, right? That stupid ass word, God. Uh, that word is off. It's not what it means. Yahweh Almighty. That day of Yahweh Almighty, the power Almighty, is the day of Armageddon, the battle of Armageddon. I'm a God one. All right, so that's what that's going into, buddy.
That deal. Other than what we have heard from Iran, they have dismissed the plan from the U.S. and the demands, saying that they're unreasonable. And Iran has denied that there's even substantial negotiations going on at all. The U.S., though, says that what they are hearing privately from Iran is different than what Iran is saying publicly, and they're posturing. But yeah, some interesting details from the president in terms of that updated timeline. The president saying they've accomplished their key goal and they're just finishing the job now, which is being fresh today. How unhelpful they have been.
Maybe we take Karg Island, maybe we don't. We have a lot of options. I don't think they have any defense. We could take it very easily.
This is CBC News. The title is the U.S. about to take a major military. Is the U.S. about to make a major military mistake?
So again, why don't they? They're certainly posturing like they will.
The Washington Post today said that the Pentagon is getting ready for what it could be ground operations in Iran involving Karg Island.
The U.S. military now has thousands of troops, ground troops, deployed to the Middle East, and Karg Island could be a target. But Trump will also know, inching closer to a ground operation in Iran, even on an island less than half the size of Manhattan, could wind up being an enormous mistake. I'll show you why. Karg Island is also known as the Forbidden Island because of how closely Iran guards it. You don't just wander onto Karg Island, and for good reason, because Iran's most valuable commodity, oil, is responsible for somewhere up to a fifth of its economy. 90% of that oil is exported from Karg Island. It almost has to be, because 3 of Iran's largest producing oil fields are here, here, and here, part of an entire network of oil fields. But just the 3 sites I pointed out are capable of producing millions of barrels of oil a day, with known reserves in the billions. They're connected by pipeline to Karg Island. Iran also drills for oil just offshore, nearly a dozen major oil fields in Iranian waters. They also shuttle oil to world markets via Karg Island. And the reason Iran can't easily ship that oil from anywhere else, you can figure out just by looking at the water. The darker, the deeper, especially around this T-shaped jetty. So if you looked at Karg Island from underwater, it would be a very kind of cliff-like steep drop-off. If you were to compare that to Iranian coastal waters connected to the mainland, particularly where Iran's biggest oil fields are, it's all shallow, more sloped than steep. Depth matters here because among the biggest oil tankers in the world, which ship Iranian oil, they're called very large crude carriers, load them up with 300,000 tons of oil, and you'll need a lot of clearance underneath the ship.
So he's just going into how basically you can't take that island, and this is going into Trump's countdown to a ground invasion by Iran. Yeah, so the big news is Trump is going to finally send ground troops to Iran, but that's the thing. He's been saying that since the war started, and he hasn't done it yet. Not to our knowledge. And them taking this island now, supposedly they're going to take this little island near Iran that has their oil. This guy's going into how that's not even possible. So Trump is making some foolish decisions. That's why this is Jeremiah 49, verse 7, concerning Edom, thus says Yahweh Bashim Shai host, is wisdom no more in team, and his counsel perished from the prudent. Is their wisdom banished? Yeah, because the way America's moving by a Trump, making the presidential decisions in the presidential office, it just looks stupid. He just looks like a fool. And that's why I got Revelation 16, because it's not by coincidence. Okay, Trump ain't really a stupid guy. He's really not dumb. He's just a puppet, though. That's why. If it was up to Trump, America would probably be doing pretty good right now. If he actually had the freedom to choose what happens, what goes on here. But you see, he can't, so he's not gonna do any of that. He can't decide any of that, So, that shit is, that shit is dead, So, that's why I'm gonna get this here. Let me get this here real quick. This is Isaiah the 19th chapter, verse verse 4, Isaiah 19:4, and the Egyptians will I give over into the hand of a cruel Lord, and a fierce king, that's Donald Trump, shall rule over them. It says the Lord of hosts. Yeah, because at the same time, these presidents don't have you Americans' best interests. Hence why it says, and a fierce king shall rule over them. And the Egyptians, the modern day Egyptians, the America will I give over into the hand of a cruel Lord. Now, at the time, this was speaking about the Egypt that was going to be destroyed, and how Nebuchadnezzar was going to rule over them now, that cruel Lord. And Nebuchadnezzar was getting down. He was being cruel as hell. Cruel as far as killing shit and taking shit. Kicking ass and taking names. That's what Nebuchadnezzar was doing, that cruel Lord. So at the time, Nebuchadnezzar, the Lord raised up to destroy the Egyptians and their king and their empire. And then he made them bond servants. He took a lot of Egyptians to Babylon, Assyria, to become their subjects, bond servants to the Babylonian kingdom at that time. But today, this is going into America, modern day Egyptians, Trump, these presidents. Because once again, your presidents never had your best interests, your people's best interests. Look at what Bush did with the whole 9/11 controversy, and because it was really off. Those who don't know, that 9/11 was just off for Bush to sign that Patriot Act, giving the government more liberty to spy on your people, on you Americans, on their own people, and then be able to label y'all terrorists. You got the CIA with their projects as well. They always come out with the Project Cypher, the Rex 84 projects, the Project Megiddo. Project Megiddo are all going into how we got a red list, a blue list, yellow list, and your ass is on the fucking list, buddy. So yeah, we'll see how much America looks out for your ass, man. That's what that's going into. Anyway, continue it on here. This one here.
It gets weighed down. Shallow water doesn't work. So, in this respect, for Iran, Karg Island is singular, and it spent decades relying on this land in deep water.
Because this regime, since its coming to power in 1979, has been under sanctions, it's not had the ability to develop alternatives. Those require investments. There are technological solutions to all these problems of, shallow waters and whatnot. But the problem with the Iranians is that they've been under sanctions for so long, they just, A, can't do business, B, don't have the investments, and C, need that technology that doesn't come in because Iran has been internationally isolated.
Now, in good times, this isn't really a problem because it's a very centralized hub, incredibly efficient, a focused, fully integrated export machine. So let's ask and answer the question once again. Why can't the US just take it? So I'll start by saying the US probably could just take Karg Island. I haven't seen anyone dispute that.
That's the name of this island, Karg Island. It's gonna go into how they can't take that island. Because apparently, once again, Trump is counting down the days when he's gonna go give the order to send ground troops. Which they said he was already gonna do that going on the 5th day of the war, earlier in the war. It hasn't happened yet, and just obviously, even if he does do that, it's shit ain't nothing gonna come out of it, man. It's not gonna be anything. Just off these elites wanting this war, the third war to happen. Now, that's really all you need to know, really. These elites want this third war to happen, so even if Trump sends ground troops this week or next week or this month, ain't nothing gonna come of it, man. Like, you can go into how hard it is, to go into Iran because of the mountain and the climate and all that. But you don't even need to do all that, man. You don't even need to go and check out all these prep podcast shows and get all this information just to look at that shit. Just to know that this war ain't gonna stop. It's not. It's way too short, early in the game for the elites to tell them to stop this war. The elites are the one running things, and if you don't even know that, then you can't even begin to make an opinion on this matter, unless it's to the blind, and because the blind's gonna lead the blind. But those who know, who have some type of knowledge, who actually know what's been going on for the past years with America and all the hidden satanic stuff behind it, historical roots behind America, and the prophecies, ultimately the prophets were given this stuff to know these things. Because the Passover isn't tomorrow or later today. This is already the Wednesday. This is on the midnight. I should be asleep right now, but it's 3:18 a.m. April 1st, Wednesday, 2026. So as of April 1st, 2026, the U.S. military campaign against Iran is reportedly in its final stages. So-called final stage, reportedly in its final stages, with President Donald Trump signaling a withdrawal within 2 or 3 weeks. Yeah, he said that when the first before the week of the war started. He said that before the he said on the fifth day there was the war started. He said he thought Trump said he thought it was gonna end on the fourth day. He thought it was only gonna last 4 days. This war with Iran. He thought they were just gonna shoot some ballistic missiles at the a barrage of missiles at Iran, and then that was gonna be it. And I personally don't believe that dude, the Ayatollah there, Khamenei, got killed because he's a high level elite, or at least pretty high. He's pretty high up there, man. Your president Trump is pretty high up there too. They got bunkers ready for them, all that, man. Even certain celebrities already have bunkers. So how much more your presidents? That motherfuckers got bunkers, man. Signaling a withdrawal within 2 or 3 weeks, while the U.S. and Israel have severely degraded Iran's military infrastructure and killed high-ranking leaders, including Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. The conflict has reached a complex stalemate. Yeah, that's the point right there. The conflict has reached a complex stalemate, characterized by regional escalation and economic disruption. Yeah, and plus you still got Iran-backed groups, by the way. They mentioned here regional escalation. Iran-backed groups like the Houthis have increased attacks on Israel and maritime traffic in the Red Sea, while Hezbollah has intensified rocket fire from Lebanon. Yeah, you got the Houthis and Hezbollah still up and running to back Iran in this conflict. And they keep saying bad things. What I'm learning from this war too is because yeah, they keep trying to make Iran or Tehran look bad, but like they're saying right here that even if they reach the peace agreement, Trump keeps saying that even if they reach the peace agreement, they say Iran's nuclear capabilities have been put into the Stone Age. But that don't matter. They don't need missiles. Iran doesn't need missiles. They have Russia for that. They have China and North Korea for that. So they don't need no missiles, man. Now, eventually, this third war is going to lead to it's definitely going to lead to a nuclear fallout, nuclear whatever you call it. It's going to go nuclear basically. Because this is Jeremiah 5 and verse 12 in the GNT. The Lord rejects Israel. The Lord's people have denied him and have said how he won't really do anything. We won't have hard times. We won't have war or famine. They have said that the prophets are nothing but windbags and that they have no message from the Lord. The Lord Almighty said to them, Jeremiah, because these people have said such things, I will make my words like a fire in your mouth. The people will be like wood, and the fire will burn them up. Yeah, it's going to be the nuclear missiles. This is going to happen to Jake so that Jake can get judged. Because this is Jeremiah 5 in the GNT 1. People of Jerusalem, run through your streets, look around, see for yourselves, search the marketplaces. Can you find one person who does what is right and tries to be faithful to the power of Yahweh? If you can, the Lord will forgive Jerusalem. So Jerusalem is here in America, the people before a place. Jerusalem's the people before a place. So most of our people, they ain't trusting in Yahweh. Verse 2, even though you claim to worship the Lord, you do not mean what you say. That's our people for you. That's the Israelites for you, SoCal Negroes, Latinos, etc., etc. Come. That's why this war is gonna be popping off. Jeremiah 5 on down to verse 18. The Lord says, yet even in those days I will not completely destroy my people. 19. When they ask why I did all these things, tell them, Jeremiah, that just as they turned away from me and served foreign gods in their own land, so they will serve strangers in a land that is not theirs. Jumping up to the 17th, they will devour your crops and your food. They will kill your sons and your daughters. They will slaughter your flocks and your herds. Salaki, let me jump up to 15. People of Israel, Lord is bringing a nation from far away to attack you. It is a strong and ancient nation, a nation whose language you do not know. Those nations are going to be Russia, China, North Korea. Man, there's rumor they already have the splinter cells here already. And why is that? Because even if you just look at how Joe Biden and how they may allow Joe Biden to run this country, this state, it just you're gonna tell me that you still think they're making decisions and they're running things if he allowed the border to be open and that allow immigrants to come in here, bro. He literally allowed the border to be open. In Joe Biden's presidency, he literally allowed the border to become open, and that allowed a lot of immigrants coming in here. You put two and two together, man. Now nobody's that stupid. Nobody in history has ever been that incompetent. How your presidency's been running things for the past few years. So you stupid patriot Americans, man, y'all don't even know what's gonna go down. Yeah, it's funny, yeah, it's cool, but this shit is really gonna be a lot of death and murder the Lord's gonna bring in this bitch, man. So you can enjoy your little, I don't know, man. You stupid ass woman, you got a lot of judgment coming for your ass, man. A lot of these stupid women, you Israelites, you ain't been paying attention to these things, man. This is 16, verse 16. Their archers are mighty soldiers. This is 15. A nation whose language you do not know. Their archers are mighty soldiers who will kill without mercy. And this was back in the time Jeremiah was preaching during the time when Babylon was about to get raised up to destroy Judah, southern kingdom. And this literally happened, but this is, as it says in the scriptures, history, that which has been is that which shall be. Nothing new. So it's going to come back again in this time, just with a different way, different style, but the same thing. And in a worse way too. It says in Jeremiah 30, a time of trouble like none before, and Jacob's trouble. And it's gonna be very bad this time because here in America they just been feeding you bullshit, horrible trash food, and stupid entertainment, and women and Instagram and social media and this selfish culture, selfie culture of selfishness, of being all about yourself. and video games and entertainment and all and drugs and alcohol and shit. Hence why America's military ain't even ready, man. Now we already know these elites want to bring this war, and a lot of death is gonna come because Russia's already been involved, and they already fucking are involved. You don't see Russia getting involved. First, because you're a stupid, dumbass woman speaking, and you don't even know what the fuck is about to take place, man. You're a stupid black bitch speaking. You don't even know what's fuck is about to pop off. Me personally, I've never said Russia's not gonna get involved. I just made a statement of how I was amazed of how Iran didn't have Russia backing them up. Then I found out that Iran didn't need Russia to back them up. They was actually whooping ass. And so it made me meditate and reflect and correct myself. And then I even made a statement. Russia's been technical. Even though Russia didn't have to get help Iran in any of that, on February 28th, that's when the war started. The attacks started, the shootings each other started. Russia's been involved. They've been and get supplying Iran with satellite coordinates, information, military operations, satellite operations, man. If you ain't just looking at this stupid ass CNN news, that's probably you Americans and you stupid ass black woman. You're looking at the stupid ass news from CNN, CBC, CBS, NBC news, and you're not even looking at the real news, the underground news. Iran doesn't need no help right now. They're whipping ass, man. And they can go ahead. Why didn't Trump already send ground troops in the first place? And when you really think about it, U.S. still could have whooped Iran's ass if they could have just sent a nuclear missile and shot it already. Just common sense just tells you they could have done that. They could have been sent in ground troops with barrage of ballistic missiles and did use the fucking spider web tactic where you get them from all sides. They didn't do that because this war is fake. It's not a real war. Our U.S. can only do so much. President Trump can only make so much of his own decisions, man. The U.S. government, even the U.S. government, can only allow so much can only have so much liberty to make their own decisions, man. I mean, we're talking about the devils that poison your own food, and then want you expect to send you to the army to fight for them. Shit don't make sense, man. This place has to be destroyed. You're living under a tyrannical Satanist, man, and you motherfuckers are fine with it, man. See, people are stupid and dumb, and you've been docile your whole fucking life. Insignificant peasants. It's Jeremiah 5 in the GNT, verse fucking 17. They will slaughter your flocks and your herds and destroy your vines and fig trees. Their fortified cities in which you trust will be destroyed by their army. The fortified cities in which you trust will be destroyed by their army. Yeah, it's going to be the army that's going to come in from North Korea, Russia, Iran. All that shit, right? 18, the Lord says, yet even in those days I will not completely destroy my people. Yeah, there's going to be a remnant that's going to be saved, man. The Lord's going to save. So yeah, my nigga.
Absolutely strong enough, and we could do it. There's no question about it.
There's very little that the U.S. military can't do. Except, one thing it can't do is take Kharg Island without taking losses itself.
The 31st MU could probably do it. I think the 82nd Airborne, the Media Ready Brigade, could probably do it. But, at what cost?
Let's game this out. You're the United States military. You've brought warships to Iran, destroyers, aircraft carriers. But if you're going to take Kharg Island, you can't just bombard it from afar. You need boots on the ground. So you mobilize thousands of Marines and pile them into these landing craft air cushion, LCAC, high-speed amphibious hovercraft. These are so big, you can put an M1 Abrams tank on board. And these are so versatile, they're capable of landing even in more shallow water. So, you set course for the Iranian shoreline in the Persian Gulf. The plan is to secure Kharg Island by taking this land as well, to establish a bit of a perimeter. But Iran knows this attack is coming. It's been dotting the narrow choke point, that is the Strait of Hormuz, with sea mines in unknown numbers, unknown positions. Which are just as deadly and hard to disable and hard to find as landmines. We've been talking for weeks now about how the Strait of Hormuz is closed to oil tankers trying to get out of the strait, and here we are talking about probably Marines trying to get into the strait. So it's sort of the same problem in reverse. And while you're dealing with that problem, there's another overhead.
Now, we also know they have drones. They developed the Shahad drone, years ago. And we know that they have thousands and thousands of these.
These drones, cheap, effective, can hit anywhere in the country at any time. But Kharg Island is also so close to shore. The closeness to the Iranian mainland is why the forces there would be so vulnerable, because Iran actually doesn't have to put anything on Kharg Island to defend it.
Almost all attacks benefit for being very close to land from an Iranian point of view.
Yeah, there's basically nowhere you can be in the Persian Gulf on the approach to Iran, to Kharg Island, where U.S. troops wouldn't be under a constant barrage. After landing on the island, any forces there would be basically sitting ducks for drone attacks, artillery barrages, missile attacks, and it'd be very difficult for them to defend themselves.
Artillery can be absolutely deadly, particularly if you're sitting exposed in the middle of an island and you don't really have the defensive fortifications you might normally have.
And we haven't even talked about the challenges of holding the area once you've taken it. For at least a week, there have been widespread reports of Iran building up its defenses at Kharg Island. Defenses designed to repel troops and enemy fire coming from above, say, like the 1,000 or so paratroopers the U.S. is said to be preparing for battle. Iran is also believed to have laid anti-personnel, even anti-tank mines, to keep America's heaviest firepower from building up. If they want to move big air defenses, or they want to move amphibious vehicles onto the beach there, or into the territory of the island, it would be basically impossible if there were anti-tank mines there.
They have 1,000 miles of coastline, thousands of small boats. There are just so many things that they can do to make our life miserable there, number one, and number two, to kill Americans.
And Iran has been preparing for this, not just for the last several weeks, but even since before the start of the war. The amount of oil Iran was shipping out from Kharg Island surged in the days leading up to the first U.S. and Israeli attack. The thinking? Maybe that Iran was trying to hollow the island out, making money, clearing out inventory, because it knew an attack was coming. So, if that's true, how else, in terms of their defenses, might they have been preparing Kharg Island?
When you're a soldier, and I fought in war in Iraq and Afghanistan, and you don't know what you don't know. You won't know until you're on the ground just how bad it is. And when that happens, it's too late, okay? We'll already be committed, we'll already be exposed, and American blood will already be shed.
The thing we heard again and again from the experts we spoke to for this story was how they couldn't really understand the strategic value of capturing Kharg Island, especially given the cost.
I mean, it'll probably be in the dozens, maybe hundreds, of casualties. to take this.
It wouldn't surprise me if there were several hundred or 1,000 casualties from an operation like that if it went badly wrong.
Now, in taking Karg Island, could the U.S. grievously wound Iran's economy? Yes. But then what?
These are a dedicated, tough, resilient people. They are not going to be swayed by reduced oil revenues, okay? It's an existential threat to them, and they are very, very tough.
Even if the U.S. were to simply destroy the island from the air, Iran would likely see that as crossing a red line. They could decide to then further retaliate against America's allies in the Middle East.
A missile fragment falling to the ground and exploding in Doha, the capital of Qatar.
2 drones have hit the U.S. Embassy in Saudi Arabia's capital, Riyadh.
That's Iranian state media showing what it says were missiles launched towards Kuwait.
And American bases in the region would also be vulnerable to attack, all of which still ignores the elephant in the room, which is that even if you get through the mines and the boats and the drones and the missiles and the artillery and you land and you take and you hold, whatever happens to Karg Island doesn't get Persian Gulf oil flowing again. It doesn't reopen the Strait of Hormuz.
Could they take Karg Island? Maybe. Probably. But it would have a very, very high cost and provide very little strategic value. And maybe that's the kind of outcome that the president needs to be able to walk away, to say this is the final blow and now we're done. But if it doesn't open the Strait of Hormuz, in my view, it still looks like a failure.
So we're back to the original question of asking whether the United States is about to make a major mistake. But I'll leave you with this thought. About 2 weeks into the war, Trump did order a strike on Karg Island. By his telling, the U.S. totally obliterated every military target in Iran's crown jewel. Then he added a threat veiled as mercy. I have chosen not to wipe out the oil infrastructure on the island. However, should Iran or anyone else do anything to interfere with the free and safe passage of ships through the Strait of Hormuz, I will immediately reconsider this decision. I think it's telling that Iran did block anything to interfere with the free and safe passage of ships through the Strait of Hormuz. I will immediately reconsider this decision. I think it's telling that Iran did block traffic in the Strait of Hormuz, still does today, and Trump has not yet followed through on his threat. Maybe because he knows how dangerous that follow-through would be. Maybe because he sees more value in threatening Karg Island than actually taking it. Or maybe he just hasn't gotten to it yet. I don't know, but...
Yeah, he's basically going into how America's true. America's true. America's true, man, and NATO is breaking up all at the same time.
Ultimatum to European countries about the Strait of Hormuz. President Trump taking to Truth Social to say, quote, all of those countries that can't get jet fuel because of the Strait of Hormuz, like the United Kingdom, which refused to get involved in the decapitation of Iran, I have a suggestion for you. Number one, buy from the U.S. We have plenty. And number two, build up some delayed courage. Go to the Strait and just take it. You'll have to start learning how to fight for yourself. The USA won't be there to help you anymore, just like you weren't there for us. The president goes on to say, Iran has been essentially decimated. The hard part is done. Go get your own oil. Now, overnight, the United States hit an Iranian ammunition depot, reportedly with 2,000-pound bunker buster bombs. That, according to the Wall Street Journal. The president released some video on Truth Social overnight showing the massive amount of destruction outside the city of Isfahan. While the U.S. and Israel are ramping up pressure on the Islamic Republic, President Trump is still offering Iran a chance at a diplomatic solution. Iran has continued its ballistic missile attacks against Israel with 2 waves targeting central Israel last night and another 2 cluster munitions strikes this morning against Tel Aviv. With a focus on Iran, Israel has expanded ground operations against Hezbollah in southern Lebanon. The military says dozens of militants were killed there in recent days. And today, Israel's defense minister, Israel Katz, announced that Israel is building a buffer zone in southern Lebanon up to the Litani River. The IDF announced that 4 additional Israeli soldiers were killed yesterday, bringing the total since the Lebanon operation began to 10 killed. On Monday, a funeral was held for one of those soldiers, just 19 years old. world. Now the region waiting to see what will be said at this briefing at the Pentagon, as once again, President Trump is offering the Iranian regime diplomacy. If they do not take his offer, officials say this war will escalate. Guys?
So, Trey, we saw the attack on the Gulf states.
So,
and on Israel. But can you compare the number of attacks now as opposed to 1 week ago, 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago?
The U.S. and Israeli campaign against the Iranian regime has been very successful in going not just after the launching positions of these missiles and drones, as we've seen in new video from U.S. Central Command, but also, importantly, going after the production sites. What President Trump is ordering here is a decapitation not only of Iran's military leadership, but also of their production lines, so that in the future they're not able to threaten U.S. forces or allies across the...
this came out 19 hours ago, Fox News. Even though Fox do be on bullshit. Trump issues a new ultimatum to Europe to reopen the Strait of Hormuz. So Trump is begging NATO to intervene. And this is from Al Jazeera. I'm going to just get the title here. After Strait of Hormuz opens, turmoil would still last months, analysts said yesterday. Just going back to the prophecy, what I said earlier, to your spirit. It doesn't matter how this thing goes, what Trump decides, troops, ground troops, whatever ballistic missile he decides to go send over there. This war is here to stay. It started, and it's not going to leave that at early in the stage of this war. Because going back to Revelation 16, going back to the Lord's hand is in the king's heart. The elites are controlling both sides. They definitely wanted to go nuclear because they got to depopulate people. There's too many people living on this earth right now. They got to depopulate. There's no disease that can do that quickly. And there's no other way to do that quickly than nuclear war, a nuclear fallout. Okay, one nuclear bomb can kill millions of people, can kill a whole state. You can kill a whole state. Going back to Revelation 17 and 16, and 13. And I saw 3 unclean spirits like frogs come out of the mouth of the dragon. That's the Melis. The dragon is the ancient Roman Empire. Spirit, they're coming in the Edomites, and all the blood and violence and corruption and waywardness that Rome was in. The revived Roman Empire here, America representing these elites. Empire they done built. The Lord allowed them to come back and rebirth themselves in the Renaissance. Right, it started in Rome, early 1300s. This is out of the mouth of the beast. The beast is the NATO, their military, and out of the mouth of the false prophet. That's the Vatican over there in Rome once again in Europe, where they came out of. That bottomless pit, Europe over there, Rome, America. That's going into literal where ancient Rome was, yeah. But modern day Rome is America, basically ancient Rome, that's the bottomless pit though. The literal ancient Rome over there near that area, because it's hard to grow anything over there, and it's not like Africa. And so on this side, it represents them, the three unclean frogs. The frogs represent the plagues. Ain't these elites got control over the weather, over war, over disease, famine to bring it? That's why the Lord compared, likened them unto frogs there. And then three meaning complete. And then unclean. Unclean is left-handed magic. The spirits, three unclean spirits like frogs. That's for them. Out of the mouth of the dragon, out of the mouth of the beast, and out of the mouth of the false prophet. Now the mouth represents what you speak. And frogs control what they speaking. Because it's coming out of their mouth, right? It says three unclean spirits like frogs coming out of the mouth of the dragon, the mouth of the beast, the mouth of the false prophet, showing you how the elites control the plagues through them starting the war, through them bringing out the diseases. Because these countries are authorize their agenda and enact it. For they are spirits of devils working miracles which go forth unto the kings of the earth, and that's them. They got kings over all the presidents that rule in every country that rule right now, and of the whole world, and that's why it says right there, and of the whole world, to gather them to the battle of that great day of Yahweh Almighty. Yeah, don't think there's any president or sovereign ruler right now that's just ruling out of his own will. That shit is dead. That doesn't exist. Gaddafi was like the last one. That's about it. And that was just because that was just a small, and that was because that was just a small little piece of land over there. Ultimately, before Gaddafi, they already had most of the earth anyway. All the most important empires, Russia. Since they took the last Tsar to rule, the last actual sovereign kingdom to rule, that was on a large scale, was the Russia, the Tsar Nicholas II. That's about it. Gaddafi was like the last sovereign dude to actually like go against the elites and the UN meetings and the way they got their system set up. All them presidents and they string under the banking cartels, wicked cartels, strings, puppet strings, man. They're just puppets. They're all just puppets. That's what I'm trying to say. Okay, so basically, essentially what I'm saying, okay? This is Revelation 16, verse, I haven't read that one already. But something I want to mention is Trump was talking about, Trump was talking about Revelation 17 and what was that, 16, the beast and the 10 horns you saw will hate the prostitute. They will bring her to ruin and leave her naked. They will eat her flesh and burn her with fire. What essentially Trump was saying, about how he was gonna make really that's what he's doing. He's gonna make NATO burn this whole America. But ultimately, these elites, these wicked elites, they're going to sanction it. They're going to give the order to have America get destroyed. Make NATO send their missiles here to destroy America here. And it's crazy because they're literally just following the script. Like, it literally says here that NATO is gonna betray the whole America, and that's what y'all are doing, man. Like a bunch of idiots. So if you were smart, you just would have even started. You would have even started this war. You wouldn't even be trying to begin to bring out the market beast. You'll actually be smart if you do that, but that would be impossible because the Lord ain't gonna let you not fulfill His will. Whatever what the Lord says is gonna get done. You could be the most retarded ass nigga out here, or the most smartest white boy man out here. The Lord's will is gonna be fulfilled, no matter who you bring to try to outsmart it. Strongest or the stupidest person. This is Revelation, So this is Revelation 17-16. The beast and the 10 horns which you saw will hate the prostitute, the whore. They will bring her to ruin and leave her naked. They will eat her flesh and burn her with fire. For Yahweh has put in their hearts to accomplish His purpose by agreeing to hand over to the beast their royal authority. For Yahweh's words are until Yahweh's words are fulfilled. Yeah. Okay, so that's what's gonna happen, man. Jumping up to verse 12, the 10 horns that you saw are 10 kings at NATO. And then you're already seeing what you're already seeing an early prelude to this, Revelation 17-16. Okay, you're seeing an early prelude to that already happening right now, man. Okay, all right, so so that's what you're already seeing happening right now, man. You're seeing an early prelude to that happening because Trump is saying these nations ain't trying. These other European nations aren't trying to help fight back Iran to open up the Strait of Hormuz so they can get their oil back. And it's not just oil, by the way, either. It's really everything. His brother was going into it. Oil was really made for everything here. If the trucks can't get oil for their gas, basically that gas, petroleum, then there's not going to be food. It's not going to be food. Depending on how they speculate, if the Strait of Hormuz continues to close up to 3 months. They only got up to 3 months until gas is gone, and they gotta start, and the trucks can't start coming in, and they're gonna have to start rationing gas, and then the next thing it's gonna lead to is the food. So we'll just see how this goes, and NATO isn't even helping. It hasn't even helped yet with this. Germany's kind of helped, but by allowing them to shoot their missiles at, by allowing U.S. to go in there to set up their missiles to shoot their fucking missiles at fucking Iran. All right, bro. So, but that's as far as NATO's has gotten involved. Okay, so, all right, so as far as that shit is going. All right, so that is point Shalom and blah blah.